Guys, let's introduce our players. Here in the bottom left corner, we have the blue Zerg from Team Liquid.
I didn't know Morgan had an Indiana Jones whip.
It is
Liquid Zenio.
Liquid Zenio. Guys, everybody is beautiful in their own way.
Exactly.
Especially this red Protoss, Nightend from Team Fnatic Raid Call. He was currently living in Korea and training hard with his other teammates like Todd. And like Todd. Yon, that's what his name. I thought his name was John at first, but he said it so like French that was like Yon, and I was like, oh, his name is John, but no, it's Yon, Y-O-A-N. Cool guy, and you know they've been practicing hard in Korea, keeping their heads low. People forget about them, and you know, Fnatic, you used to be part of them.
Great
organization.
Kind of
they're the second generation of Fnatic and SC2.
Yep.
And showing why he deserves to be on such a great team. Nightend taking a game off Zenio.
Nightend and I were, I think, teammates for a brief moment until, of course, I branched away into casting. And Nightend, of course, continued on with gaming. But he was always a great pleasure. I remember talking to him initially, and just the attitude this guy has. It's just so charming. He's always willing to play. He's always willing to practice.
The way you painted it, like the attitude of him.
No.
He's so charming.
He's so charming. Like, literally, the nicest guy in the world. And I think he deserves everything that he's getting right now. He's put hard work. He's put a lot of effort into this. He's been looking great.
Yeah. I really enjoy, particularly when players work hard and they accept both their strengths and their weaknesses, their shortcomings and their achievements. And yeah, he's just one of those players that really can do it. So and that's why you got to be happy for those kinds of players. As much as we like to celebrate drama in our community, also want to celebrate good players like him, Chef, other White Raw, all these great guys.
Exactly. So a very standard game coming out from here.
Now that we're done off our pedestal.
Yeah, no.
Pretty standard game.
Pretty standard game coming out from here. Stefano style for Mr. Zenio. He is going for the gasless opening, as you can see. And the third should be starting up pretty soon. Normally starts up within 4 minutes and 20 seconds. But it's actually a little bit later. There it is. Finally. Nope. Where are you? Why aren't you putting a hatchery down there?
Yeah, no, if you want to go for this kind of style, immediately you would place your hatchery. The idea is, you know, before the 5-minute mark, which Zenio is actually crossing the threshold right now, if he wants to hit that time, you can see that he's been investing a lot immediately into drones. And Nightend's kind of surprised. He says, well, wait, where is this hatchery that should be coming? And he actually sees it now that it is. It's slightly delayed, and that might make Nightend a little bit happier because he says, you know what, I didn't have to place a pawn there to delay it.
Exactly. Actually, it's pretty nice for him. I think the main reason why he chose to get the queen first before the hatchery is because the travel distance is a lot longer. So if the travel distance was shorter, then there wouldn't be so many drones obviously just wasting their time moving on over here. But he's like, okay, let me saturate this base quickly with its own larva and then get my economy like that rather than switching all the way
compared to a map like Antigua Shipyards where there's like right there. Yeah,
exactly.
Really easy to just waltz on over there. And so we see Nightend, because he saw a lot of information, and he's chrono boosting out some stalker, so he can get pretty aggressive. Actually, no, he's chrono boosting it behind the wall, so he's not going to immediately move out. But we've seen a lot of Protosses start taking a little bit more initiative at this point in the game. Start to clean up overlords, deny the watchtowers, because Zerglings don't have speed for a very long time in today's DVP metagame, and you're able to just dominate the map and really deny Zerg from being able to see what you're up to, especially because Nightend is going for a really fast Twilight Council, and blink play on this map is pretty good, especially if you can get a good position around the third entrance, Andre. We've been seeing a lot of that between Hero, Alicia, and now we might see that at Nightend.
I don't think it's going to be blink play. It looks
like exactly
Templars.
What you said last time. But. Oh, it is blink.
It is.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
Well, look at that. I'm just saying blink plank is good. I'm not saying it's necessarily the exact build he does.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, you know.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know.
But apparently it is blink. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if he's actually playing towards like a mind game or he's...
Could be.
I don't know what to say about that. Honestly.
I mean, Zenio saw the third gas being taken. Oh, he is. Or is he not? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought Nightend was not saturating the gas to try to fake out. Zenio's like, oh, I'm going to tech behind my fast expansion. And I mean, Blink is technically tech, but it's not tech compared to like Void Rays or anything like that. And so the idea is that Nightend is trying to deny as much information. He's getting only 3 gases. Very particular. You don't need that much, especially if you're only on 6 gates the way Nightend is.
Check the income tab, 38 harvesters, so you can see he won't need anything more than this. He stopped all Nexus production.
Wow.
He's just streamlined,
So
brutally
particular.
efficient here.
39 would be the utmost perfect saturation, as you can get all of your probes in terms of saturating the gases. But we see that Nightend is... he's actually wall off completely, so this is a huge timing he's gearing up for, getting his probe and pylons in position and sending his probe to scout, sees the roaches. Zenio, of course, smells something fishy, has spore crawlers, but that's not going to do much, as we see the first stalkers now creeping into the base.
That's why I think he thought it was Dark Templars. Everybody would normally read Dark Templars in that situation. Why get such a fast Twilight Council? But he's actually just doing a super fast Blink Stalker play. And I kind of like this. We'll see if his micro is up to the challenge.
Oh,
Great
very nice.
blinking there. Saves a very clutch Stalker over here.
Oh no, Zenio's, he's supply blocked, can't really make any more units. He's supply blocked pretty deep as well. Has to make a couple of orders before he's making anything. Zerg's speed is not even anywhere started, so he's not going to have that.
Wow, that's really surprising.
Oh no.
Zenio's just taking unnecessary fire over here. He doesn't have enough firepower with those roaches. He needs a higher roach count if he wants to stop this, but Glial Reconstitution, that's the thing that might help him out. Can he stay alive for another 50 seconds?
Well, +1 will finish momentarily, giving him some gap closing in, but look at how fast that hatchery drops, especially with all those stalkers, and they do have +1, keep that in mind. They don't have +2, so Nightend coming in at a much earlier time. Sometimes Blink would be hitting around now, and you can see Zenio is completely unprepared by this huge tech very early on for Blink stalkers, and you can see Nightend getting exactly what he wants, shutting down the third, and he's sticking around. He's in it to win it, because keep in mind, he walled off of his base. He doesn't really have that much contingency plan to take a third base whatsoever, and you can see that he's finally starting to blink back, trying to gather himself for another push.
There's the Glial Reconstitution. That's going to help give chase to those stalkers. It really helps out just because you can close the gap and kill the weakened stalkers. You know, you blink forward, or excuse me, you blink back, and the roaches can still chase pretty efficiently. So he's going to back up from now. I would say a job well done, but look at the supplies, 122 to 84. It looks like Zenio is going to Hydras. Now, this has been a big debate. What do I go after this? Do I go Hydras? Because I know my opponent is on gateway units. And if you are Idra, you would say no. He kind of thinks that Hydras are bad all around. You shouldn't go them. Blink Stalkers are still able to micro out of them. I don't know. I think it's still up for debate. And the verdict
to be
is still
fair,
out.
I mean, Hydras do have some very noticeable weaknesses, especially in this matchup. And I mean, Zenio, he's been one of those people unafraid to go towards it. As you can see, that didn't work out in game number 1. But he has pretty good roach count here in game number 2, and Nightend hasn't been able to mass up a huge stalker count. Of course, this should set a little bit of an alarm off of Zenio. He says, wait, his stalker count should be huge at this point. Nightend should be warping in nonstop and pressuring, and Zenio has to be feeling much better. He says, okay, well, he's gearing up for some kind of follow-up, and that follow-up is for a robotics facility. You can see Nightend getting an observer, getting +2, but he's still been sticking on 2 bays, and Nightend's now changing his mind, trying to see if he can eventually expand to a 3rd base. But now that Zenio kind of suspects it, will he be able to hold to that 3rd base?
I don't know. He didn't kill a lot of drones over there, so he did hinder the 3rd base, but of course he took the disadvantage in the beginning by getting so little amount of probes.
Yeah.
So I would say this is kind of a weird time for him to be expanding or teching or anything. I would have loved him to continue on the pressure, because I think Zenio has a really nice, huge burst of units that he could be making right now. I mean, think it's 300 minerals in the beginning. Now he's back to 3 base economy. And there's not enough mortals out in the field. Blink Stalker is really good, but I don't know if it's enough against the onslaught of these roaches and hydras.
He's going to let a lot of these roaches up onto the ramp. And there's actually a small little hole. There it is, finally sectioning it off. And that was actually a pretty good job by Nightend. So the follow force field was really good. But now that the rest of the units are out there, Nightend trying to fall back. +2 did finish. And he wants to fight by the cannon just in case Zeno was going to utilize Burrow whatsoever. But you can see Stalker's pressing into here. The Hydra's doing pretty decent DPS. +2 hasn't finished for Zenio, so he's been fighting this whole time down in upgrades. And you can see the blink forward from Nightend. But Zenio, in the end, he got a little bit what he wanted to because he saw that Nightend canceled the third before that push. And Zenio was trying to trade units because, you know, he's going to be stuck on Roach Hydra forever. And he still has a pretty healthy drone count, and his third base is safe and sound this time. So I don't think that was the worst thing for Zenio, especially because he killed off some pretty important things. Sentries, he picked off an Immortal as well. I
think that was a nice snap call decision by Fnatic Nightend. Canceling the Nexus, I mean...
Oh yeah, that was a great call.
That was a really, really intelligent play from him. Now overall, let's look at the... who's ahead, who's behind. I think Nightend is actually behind in this case, just because he doesn't have any snowballing units. He doesn't have anything that helps him out later on in the game, because he has a ton of warp gates, but his immortal count is still pretty small. He lost the only immortal that he had on the field at the time. Whereas Zenio, where is he going? Well, he has, look at that laundry list of upgrades that he has. That's really good. He has a lot of stuff set up. On top of that, he has the Spire. He has the Infestation Pit. He's looking great. So overall, the tech advantage goes to Zenio, and the economy is pretty even. I would say, if anything, advantage, of course, to Zenio. Let's look at the income tab. 68 to 60. Zenio is a player that likes to go a little bit higher than that. I've seen him all the way up to 90, especially when he gets a 4 base. We'll probably see that pretty soon. Or, no, maybe Zenio's just going to go for the big push and try to kill his opponent. I'm not sure just yet.
Yeah, and so Zenio, I mean, when those upgrades all finish, he is going to have a pretty devastating force. And the key this time is that the positioning of his third compared to the way Belcher Beach had it pretty exposed, and Nightend was able to wrap around. And Nightend had a lot more map control with the Void Rays. Zenio this time around has pretty good ample supply that he can kind of fidget around and try to see if he can poke and pressure Nightend. Nightend forced to play really defensive. You can see he's immediately starting to attack and get things like Stargate, his Templars, so we can get a Mothership out, but he's just very behind because his main base is running low on resources, so he's still technically on 2 base income despite him having a 3rd base.
That's so unfortunate for him because he needs to be ramping up in the amount of units right now. 156 supply to 190, but think about... Well, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the army is just sharking around here. He's trying to find a good opening. Zenio is doing a great job. He always does a great job here. But Nightend, what a clutch SimCity at the last minute.
Very nice. Making a strong disincentive for Zenio to just throw his units up against it as lots of gateways safely protect those cannons. And Zenio, I mean, his 4th base is done. He's getting gas 7 and 8. Very scary for Protoss. As you can see, Zenio's Infestor count is getting high. His Hive is about to finish. And, of course, Nightend is just stuck here defending back at home. The Immortals are in front with the Zerglings. The Infestors also catch the Stalkers, preventing them from being able to blink. And Nightend, even if he blinks, where does he go? His back is against the wall, and he can't really rearrange accordingly. Zenio completely okay with trading some of these units as he is preparing for a massive remax here on Zerglings. Oh my.
Interesting choice. Now, Storm is underway, but that might not play a role into this battle coming up just because Zenio can hit a pretty critical timing where Nightend doesn't have High Templars or any of those units out on the field. You can see that Nightend, he's just struggling to get a good unit mix out.
Yeah.
But without sentries and a good amount of zealots, how do you actually deal with these mass Zerglings? I think the army composition for Nightend is a little bit off. He's just struggling so hard because he thinks Blink Stalkers are the best option right now, and I feel like those are actually the worst option since it's Zergling Infestor.
Yeah, and he's able to really lock it down and add that DPS, and the Zerglings do have +1/+1.
Oh, nice.
Feedbacks on the Infestors, preventing them from fungling, but there are still enough Infestors to really lock down this army. And look at that, Nightend completely locked down onto his ramp, not allowed to leave whatsoever, as the grasp of the Zerglings are now starting to strangle the remainder of the Protoss army. You can see that Nightend, anything he's warping in, is almost dying instantaneously, and Zenio in full control. Another Immortal comes out, and you can see that Zenio just wants to save his Infestors. And as you can see, he's preparing his Greater Spire, and his Corrupt is about to come out, but Nightend might not even survive long enough to see the glory of the Blue Lords, as Zenio is all up into the 3rd, and if Nightend loses this 3rd, Andre, that would be lights out for our Protoss.
Yeah, of course, you don't want to be on 1 base, and that's, you said it before, it's like he's on 2 base right now, and this is not looking good for Fnatic Nightend. Looks like he will be under a lot of fire now in his natural as units are gearing up over here. Oh, Broodlords are starting up.
Oh.
And that's going to add insult to injury. I don't think Nightend has anywhere the ability to actually defend against anything. You need stalker counts, and you need the mothership. The mothership is a little bit far away.
He's got a Stargate and doesn't have a fleet beacon. He has nowhere near the gas requirements for a mothership either. So Nightend is not looking good. And the whole idea is, I guess, Zenio getting his Broodlords just to seal the deal. Nightend sees it too. He's actually, during this entire thing, I've been looking at his vision. Nightend has been scouting diligently with his observer. He knows the hive tech timing. It's just that he hasn't been able to do anything with it because obviously when Zerg techs the hive, they're extremely vulnerable because they invest a lot of gas. Yes. They won't have Broodlords out. But that's why Zenio was doing such a good job pressuring Nightend and trading units rather than being passive, as we've seen a lot of Zergs in the past.
And there are just so many infestors out in the field. I mean, Zenio's really well developed. And even though Nightend has like great coverage around the map, he just, any decision right now is a losing decision because Zenio is so far ahead. And I think it really came down to earlier in the game, obviously Nightend not willing to exercise his advantage. And right now, Nightend has put himself in a really, really tough position.
Oh, the infestors being feet backed. It might play into a key factor into the next battle as Zenio, his Broodlords are kind of split up. As you can see, some of them are attacking here at the natural, and you can see some are trying to turn around and focus. The infestors coming in from behind, but there's just not many units from Nightend. Zenio still very comfortably maxed as Nightend is now dipping below triple digits, and this is just way too much damage. GG.
Well played. Liquid Zenio losing the third base and still managed to come back into here. A true testament to his ability in PvZ or ZVP.
Yeah.
And it's why he has an 80% win rate in this matchup.
Well,
My
regardless
God.
of what happens, his win rate will drop because if he wins 2 out of 3, it's still 67%. Still, though, showing why he is... People consider him the favorite in this matchup. Yeah. But Nightend still don't discount him. He showed great moments in that match.
Exactly.
From the timing. I mean, Andre, why don't you talk about it a little bit?
The mind games that we saw right there. Yeah. It was clearly a Dark Templar. Like, everybody would read Dark Templar because you don't get Blink Stalkers that early. It's just because... you won't have the capacity to get that many gateways out. You won't have that much gas, especially when you see only 2 gas, your third one emerging. So it was very clearly Dark Templars and then probably an expansion. It's a very big map, so you don't want to do any of this early game pressure. But he switched up. He went for the Blink Stalkers. Unfortunately, he didn't kill enough drones, and that was probably the critical thing. Or he didn't kill enough roaches and zerglings. And really, Blink Stalkers, they're not the best when the roach count is really high. You don't want to be trading. You want to keep them as best as possible. So as soon as Glio Reconstitution kicked in and Nightend decided to back off Winter Robotics Tech, it was just lights out. Not lights out, but it was a downward spiral for him. I think Nightend should have kept on the pressure, added on additional probes and additional gateways, and then just continued into his opponent's third base or even his natural, but we didn't see that.
That game was brought to you by Azo, the people providing the monitors for NASL Season 3. Grab an Azo monitor for yourself so that you can watch NASL in the 1080p quality. We'll be back with game number 3 between Zenio and
Nightend.
We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Soon. No. Hold on. I got this. We'll be back.